Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to be looking at finishing Number Wizard. In particular, we're going to be using random.range to make sure that our guesses feel a lot more natural when we play the game. So let's get started. So I'm here in the game and we have a game that starts pretty simply. Let's play through it to see what it looks like. I press start, I pick a number, if it's my number, etc, etc. The problem I've got right now with this game is that the guesses just don't look natural. Every time we start a new game, it's always the same guess, and the first couple look very artificial. You know, you've got to divide by 2, so the numbers are pretty obvious before you even start, really. So we want to change that. We want to change that so that the numbers are not so obvious when you start the game. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's take a look at the Number Wizard code to see what we can do about that. So in the Number Wizard code, we've got a start game, and right now the algorithm for the first guess is really take the max and min and divide by 2. And what we want to do is change from max plus min over 2 to a different guess, to a random guess within the range between max and min. And to do that, we're going to use the random.range function. And in fact, I'm not going to use the random.range function. You are. You're going to have to go and look at the random.range function in the Unity API documentation. And I want you to use it to pick a number randomly between the minimum and the maximum of our guess, our possible guesses. So pause the video now and to give it a shot at using the API documentation for random.range to see whether you can guess a random number instead of picking the halfway point. I'll see you soon. So how did it go? Let's take a look at how we would do that. Here we are in our next guess function, and we are picking a number here between in the halfway point between max and min, and I want to stop that happening. I want instead pick a number which is random.range. That's not going to be it is going to be random.range, and we're going to pick a number between the minimum, which is going to be min, and the maximum, which is going to be max. However, random.range, if you look at the documentation carefully, it'll say it picks between minimum inclusive and maximum exclusive when it picks its first number. Now we want to pick a random number that could include the maximum, so we're going to have to do max plus 1, just like we did here when we were doing the algorithm manually. But now we're actually doing it in random.range. The random.range needs to know to have a number of the maximum to be 1 more than the 1 we potentially want, so we're adding 1 to max, and we no longer to do it here. We no longer need to do it here. So we've got this going now, and if we play the game now and jump in, let's get started. Let's jump into our game, press play, and press start, and now it still starts at 500. Now the guesses are random once I do that. That's a much better guess, but it still starts at 500. So what I want to do is start my first guess as soon as I launch. So instead of waiting and having a predefined guess, instead of using guesses 500, what I want to do is to go and run my next guess here. That way, my first guess will be the first thing I do. I'll guess first, change the number to a random one between 1 and 1,000, and this is going to be 1,001 because we want the player to be able to pick 1,000 because we already do the max plus 1 here. So that's going to be between 1 and 1,000, and I run my next guess. So I'm going to save that, jump back into my game and see what that looks like. So if I press play now, press start, you'll see there's already a number picked, and that's 888. So let's say I pick 324. So 324, not bad. That was pretty quick for the computer. It randomly guessed 324 pretty quickly. So now we have a game that does not look artificial anymore. We're not picking 500 every time or 750. They look like pretty round artificial numbers. Now we're picking randomly. It still works as we would expect it to. So that is great. We have now a game that looks pretty normal. And we've also managed to, in one shot, not only use random.range, but also change the computer's guess at the start of the game so that we show the right value when we start. So we've got an existing guess. So here we are. That's it for this lecture. It was pretty short, pretty simple, but now you've got random.range. That's a pretty useful tool to do lots of things, including randomly selecting between items in an array. For example, let's say you want to randomly spawn an enemy in future games. You can use random.range to pick a random index into that array and spawn that enemy and lots of other things. So that is it for this lecture. Congratulations on finishing Number Wizard UI. You now have a Number Wizard game that reflects the very first game you created in the console, but now is visual, and you can share it with your friend on GameBucket or otherwise. So that's it for now. I'll see you in another lecture. Bye.